Hey guys, it is Monday, February 22nd, and if you are doing the 90 Days to Your Novel Challenge, that means it is time for the weekly writing assignment, so stay tuned. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicole Wolf, and I'm a paranormal romance writer and historical romance writer for the sake of this challenge. And me and some of my other writer friends are all doing the 90 Days to Your Novel Challenge. And this is week 4 of the challenge. So let's get into those weekly writing assignments. Now, the difference for this week is instead of there being an assignment every day, there's actually only 4 assignments for the entire week. Let's get right into the assignments. So the first assignment for week 4 is assessing your scene worth. Your readers will expect each scene to contribute in some way to either the plot or the character development, and if your scenes feel directionless, or even worse, pointless, your reader might just put down the novel altogether and never pick it up again. Nothing is more frustrating than feeling like you've wasted time reading a book with no point. With each scene that has materialized on your outline, you should be able to answer the following questions. What is the purpose of this scene? How is this scene related to the scene immediately before or after? What characters are involved in this scene? What is the setting? What is at stake for the protagonist in this scene? What is the conflict in the scene? How does this scene further develop my novel's plot? If, as you peruse your outline, you're unable to come up with a clear intention of a given scene, you might be wiser to cut that scene, combine it with another scene, or redevelop it. In these early stages, don't be afraid to cut scenes you don't feel contribute to your holistic vision of the novel. Remember, each dead-end street you drive down during the next 60-odd days will waste your valuable time as you turn around and get to your final destination. Week 4, assignment 2. Before moving on to the next section, take out your outline and find yourself a highlighter. For all the scenes on your outline, you've numbered them by now, I hope. I want you to label whether you think an internal or an external scene will be necessary. Simply place an I for internal and an E for external next to the individual scenes on your on your outline. Now ask yourself, are the internal and external scenes in a healthy balance with one another? Are there any sections of your novel that contain too many back-to-back external scenes, such as dialogue scenes, dramatic scenes, action scenes, or conversely, too many internal scenes? Setting forward scenes, which are ones that rely heavily on setting to reveal the character or tone, emotional scenes, or interior monologue scenes. Are there any places in your outline where you are concerned with losing the reader's interest? What do you think is the slowest part of your novel? Are there any portions of your outline that could include an internal scene in order to reveal the thoughts, fears, or motivations behind your main character's actions? You may find that, as luck would have it, your outline is balanced in perfect harmony. Or, if you are one of the 99.9% of people who need to make a few adjustments to your outline, now is the time to do so. How can you rearrange, cut, or re-envision your scene order or scene types to keep an even pace in your novel? Week 4, assignment 3. If your list of the ways in which your character's yearning is thwarted or blocked is brief or paltry, you're going to have to find ways to deepen the conflict in your novel. What kinds of scenes can you include? What might stand in the way of what your character wants? Is the yearning generated in your outline enough to sustain a novel-length work? Next, with a copy of your completed outline in front of you, I'd like you to draw a line roughly 1/3 of the way through it. Also, draw a line 2/3 of the way down. If you're using note cards, simply include a blank divider between cards to separate your outline into thirds. What you've done is roughly divide your outline into 3 parts, coinciding with, let's hope, your novel's 3 acts. In this assignment, you'll need to spend some time critically assessing each of these 3 parts of your novel. Remember the distinctions between Acts 1, 2, and 3 that we explored in days 14 through 16. Do you have a story to tell, and you have 80,000 words or so in which to do it? You don't want to give information away too quickly, otherwise your reader will have no incentive to keep reading. Where can you add a scene to build tension and yearning? Where can you delete a scene that is giving away too much too quickly? Remember, you're better off deleting non-essential scenes so you don't waste time writing them out. Now, as far as that, assignment 3 goes, with separating your scenes into 3 equal parts, I don't really think that's necessary. You do need to separate your scenes into the 3 acts. However, I usually find that Act 1 and Act 3 are usually quite a bit shorter than my Act 2. Just because of the way the scenes break down, and it does depend on what kind of method you're following. But like, because I'm following the Save the Cat method, this method basically has only about 20% of the novel is in Act 1, and I think about 20% of the novel is in Act 3. Let me see. I'll try and show you what I mean here. This is kind of the breakdown of the acts right here. I know this is going to be backwards for you, but you'll see right here this break into 2 at 20%. That is the beginning of your Act 2. And then right here you'll see break into 3, which is at 80%. And that is the beginning of your Act 3. So basically that means 20% of your novel is in Act 1, approximately. 20% is in Act 3. And the rest, which is 60% of your novel, is all in Act 2. So your dividing lines might not be equal thirds. It might be, if you're following the Save the Cat method, you might have a much bigger stack of scenes in your Act 2 than you will in your Act 3 or your Act 1. Okay, so for your Act 1, because this assignment, after you break it up, you need to kind of go through each act scenes. Okay, take a look at the first third of your novel, of your outline, or your Act 1, and ask yourself the following questions. Does my novel start in the right place? What is the significance of the moment in which my novel starts? Does Act 1 include enough scenes that will adequately introduce my character and his or her history, motivations, flaws, and desires? Why should your reader care about your characters? Have you developed him or her enough for your reader to feel an adequate level of investment? By the second or third scene, does my novel begin to introduce or hint at the latent or overt conflicts that face my main character? Is the first third of my novel interesting? Does enough happen? By the end of Act 1, is my character forced or compelled to act on his or her yearnings? What is at stake for my character if he doesn't get what he or she wants? So that's Act 1. Then Act 2, take some time to examine the second third of your novel and ask yourself the following questions. Have you deepened the conflict of your characters? What obstacles stand between your character and what she wants? Where could you stand to add further complications for your protagonist? How are my character's motivations, desires, and values causing him or her to react to events and situations in a particular way? How is my character changing from Act 1? Is he changing or staying the same in the face of changes around him? How is he affected by the events unfolding before him? What is the climax of my novel? What is the key moment for my protagonist in his quest for self-understanding? All right, and then Act 3. Take a look at the final third of your outline and ask yourself, what plot points have you left unresolved thus far? Which minor characters deserve a few final pages in Act 3? Does your outline, as you've written it, contain enough substance? Does it wrap up the loose ends of your novel? Does your outline contain a scene that reveals the consequences for your characters in terms of how they acted and reacted to the climax scene? Does your outline contain a scene or scenes that show how your protagonist has changed from the start of your novel? What kind of ending do you imagine for your novel? Does the protagonist get what he wants in the end? Does the protagonist not get what he wants? Is it a combination ending where the main character gets what he wants, but in the end he realizes that's a bad thing? Or doesn't get what he wants, but in the end realizes this is for the best? Okay, and then finally, week 4, assignment 4, the final assignment for the week. Spend a minimum of 2 hours conducting a cursory research on the various elements of your story and take notes. You may use this information or you may not. Such is the nature of research. Not everything you find will be equally useful. The easiest way to conduct research these days is, of course, the internet. Okay, so yeah, week 4, assignment 4 is basically about researching the elements in your novel that you need more information on. So for me, I'm writing a time travel historical romance that is set in 16th century Scotland. So I have already done quite a bit of research. I am sure I will end up doing more. But I've already kind of researched the major events of that time frame in that part of the world. I've researched the kind of clothing they wore. I researched the particular landscape and landmarks that are in the area that I know my character is going to be traveling to. I've also researched some like festivals or like holiday celebrations that occurred in that time frame in that area of the world, and just kind of a little bit of the overall history of Scotland in the 16th century. And those are the kind of things that you might end up finding yourself researching if you're doing historical. If you're doing fantasy, obviously it's not necessarily about research. It's really just about you know, figuring these things out on your own. That does not mean that you might not end up doing some research and drawing inspiration from certain times in history. You know, like if you're writing like an epic fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, for example, I mean, that is kind of, they dressed very medieval like. So, you know, they had armor and the wizards and, you know, like, so obviously J.R.R. Tolkien drew inspiration from medieval times for his fantasy world of Middle Earth. So, so anyway, that's the final assignment for the week. And I mean, I feel like we've all got our work cut out for us, even though we feel like 4 assignments is less than we're used to, but that's a lot to do in 1 week. So, good luck to everybody, and I hope you all liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you know when all of these assignment videos go up. Make sure to check out the links in the description box below for the Facebook group for the 90 Days to Your Novel Challenge. That will be where I am posting the written assignments. However, those written assignments are usually not quite as in-depth as these videos are. And that is all from me today, guys, and I will see everyone in my next video. Bye!